We're doing an update on Hurricane Irma. What do you know about it?
Nothing. Except that it's about ready to kick your ass. Because I looked, because I needed to make sure that you were going to be okay.
You're watching the news, right?
I know I pulled it up on my phone just to see the track.
And what do you see? You see a big, gigantic storm brewing and headed towards the peninsula of Florida, right?
Yes.
And what else do you know about it? What does the common person know about it that doesn't live in Florida?
I mean, I work a lot, and then I run boys around in football, so I don't really have time to know a lot about anything that's going on in the world. So I just know that it's been fucking up islands left and right, and it's getting ready to hit Florida.
Yeah, kind of fucked up. Just fucked up Cuba a little bit. It's departing Cuba, and it's supposed to hit Florida. You know the Keys, right? Florida Keys at 3 a.m. tonight, Sunday morning. It's supposed to hit like the Naples area. It's supposed to get into Southwest Florida around 8, 9 in the morning. It's supposed to be in my area, you know, like Siesta area, Siesta Keys, Tampa, Bradenton, Sarasota, at around, you know, tomorrow evening. Give or take a few hours, you know. But we're supposed to feel the effects now, like the tropical storm effects. I don't really feel, there's not really much going on right now. I think. What's that?
You left what? Hold on. Oh, you can get on. Sorry, one of the kids' friends came to the door.
So, I mean, it's pretty heavy. It's a Category 3 right now. It was a Category 4, but that's big.
Back up to a 4, they said.
Yeah. And I've already been through a Category 4, Category 5 like 10 years ago. That hit me directly with Hurricane Charlie.
Okay, so in your podcast of the first one, saying that what are the chances that it's going to hit your county? Slim to none. This is not a big deal. Well, I mean, you are an unlucky motherfucker if you've gotten hit twice.
That's the thing. The probability.
The eye of it hit you twice.
Well, we don't know yet. The eye, but it's such a big storm, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the probability of.
Florida, like it's bigger. Like it's like.
Yeah.
Huge.
I know, and.
And the middle of it was coming right up to where you are.
Here's the thing. I mean, yeah, it's probably gonna hit. It's close. You know, it might be a direct hit. The probability of that hitting twice in a decade like that, it's really slim, like I said, but it can happen, but you know, people act like it's going to cause a huge death toll, like it's a zombie apocalypse, like it's going to be a massacre of the human race in Florida. It's not. It's gonna displace a lot of people, and from what I know, I mean, from my experience, if you have strong housing, if you're in a strong structure, you're not gonna get hurt physically. The people that are gonna get fucked up are the people that are living in trailer homes. Okay, that's the people.
Right.
That are vulnerable. It's basically the people are going to struggle with the storm in the aftermath are poor people, and that's the reality of it. Look at Katrina. That's what happened there. But we learned from that, and the response with the government is just so strong. It's just overly prepared, and the response is pretty much on steroids. We're great cleaning up. And I think even the electricity is not even going to go out. When Hurricane Charlie 10 years ago, I fucking lost electricity for a month. No electricity for a month. I even left my place because there was no. How can you live in Florida in the heat with no air condition? It's unheard of. You know. People,
Wow.
you risk. That's why a lot of older people, 75 years and older, they're vulnerable. They're at risk for like heat exposure without power. But with this hurricane, I think the power won't be out that long. I think with the response, they'll get it back up and running. A few days is what I'm saying. But for the most part, it's not like we're in our fucking underwear running around like, fuck me up, hurricane. You know what I mean? As long
True, but
as long
if they'd not made such a big deal about it, then maybe some of the people that would have, that are not in good places, wouldn't have taken evacuating seriously. And then there would have been a lot more.
that is true, by the, by overly panicking, most everyone is taking it seriously now. Now that it's pictured about to come our way, So it's probably not going to be a big death toll, but it's going to be a lot of property damage. So, and the other thing is, I don't even know if you know anything about it. It's kind of like Katrina. It's set up to be like with the surge. Right now, it's 5 to 15 feet in the whole Southwest Florida, the whole left side of Florida.
Yeah, I heard about that too. I heard you say that. That's concerning.
So there's going to be a lot of water coming up if you're by the shoreline. But that too is exaggerated. Like I'm watching the news and they're saying it's 15 feet of, from where you're at. It's like, you saw people on Katrina during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, like standing on the roofs of their houses to survive and stuff. But that's only if you're by the shore, If you're further inland, it's not going to be like that. It'll be a few feet. It's going to be hard to travel for a few days until it clears out, and with Katrina, the levees broke and they had problems, and the response wasn't good. Here, everything is just, we're all overly prepared. So yeah. So you're right. I mean, by being crazy about it and by hyping it up so much, and with all the fear mongering in the news and with the government saying evacuate, over every little thing, it's making everyone take it serious. It's true. But I'm also look.
Probably.
What's that?
That's probably their point.
Yeah, they don't want any casualties, and
Right.
and after they drop the ball on the other hurricanes, they really want to do their best here, so they're not liable at all, so they can't go back and be like, oh, you know what I mean?
Right.
So everyone did what they're supposed to, going up the chain of power that's held accountable, that they all did what they're supposed to and all they could. So everything else is on the hurricane.
Well, how many people do you think evacuate Florida? Like, how many people do you think are left in Florida?
Well, there's a lot of people in Florida right now. I don't know the evacuation number. You can never know that. But a lot of people evacuated to South Florida and just went up. A lot of people went from Naples to Sarasota, where I'm at now. A lot of people went from Naples, Sarasota, where I'm at, to past Tampa. So a lot of people that evacuate just went northern, and that's the problem because it's going to hit north too.
Right.
It's not really making landfall. It's just going up the coast. It's not going to really downgrade. It's probably going to stay Category 3 up until past Tampa, and then it's going to die out more. That's the projection. But all I know is for sure is there's 70,000 as of right now in shelters. 70,000 people are in shelters, and about 76,000 people lost their freaking power as of right now. And half of the people in Florida are supposed to lose their power, so when it's all said and done, I mean, right now I'm outside in Sarasota. It's only 20 miles the wind, and the wind gust is like 20, 28 miles an hour. But here's the problem with it. They can do everything right this time, They've learned from the other hurricanes, but here's the problem of it. If you look at it, it's only going like 6-7 miles per hour, the hurricane, and it's this big, It's this strong. It's this massive. It's going slow. So that means, we're going to get hit hard. Even if we get hit with the Category 3, and if it doesn't stay at a 4, it's the duration. It's like taking a hit in a boxing match.
True.
For all 12 rounds, instead of like getting knocked out in a couple rounds, it's like the duration is just like taking a beating. And even if it's not that strong, but just the duration of it, of the pounding, is going to cause a lot of property damage. That's the problem here. So I don't know. I mean, but I don't see why people are scared. And people are like, you didn't get people like, oh my God, they're fucked, or this is God, all the God talk. This is God. This is karma. This is the global warming shit. It's just
a fucking hurricane, people.
I know. So I think it's blown out of proportion a little bit, but here's the thing. Here's also the funny thing. Right now, it's still, it's departing Cuba, but it still hasn't turned. Like, if it were to continue going straight as of right now, it's taking a long time to turn. It would just go off out into the Gulf Coast and probably, you know what I mean? Hit Texas again, or New Orleans. So what I'm saying is, if and the news won't even admit it. They're not even saying it's a possibility. I mean, it's probably not going to happen. But if it doesn't even turn, it won't even hit Florida. We'll just get the outer band, and that would pretty much validate what I've been saying is the biggest fucking media scam of the century. If it doesn't hit Florida, but that's just hypothetical. It's probably going to hit. It looks like it, but it still hasn't turned, is what I'm saying.
When are they expecting it to turn?
It should start turning any minute, but it's going slow right now from what I'm watching, and it hasn't turned at all. So I don't know. We're gonna see. Do you have people?
So tomorrow night at 8.
Yeah.
Do I have people left?
Tomorrow night at... Do you know any people in Florida? Other people?
Yeah, my aunt actually lives close to where you're at.
Sarasota, right?
She left, yeah. She left, oh gosh, probably a week ago, and she's in Georgia.
She evacuated.
One of my daughter's best friends and her mom and sister and grandparents moved to Florida, and they just got to Kansas City about an hour and a half ago.
All due to the hurricane.
Yeah. But that's really, and then you're the only crazy person I know in Florida that stayed.
Well, like I said, I don't think it's necessary to evacuate. If you're in a strong structure, it's actually better to be here because it's going to be done by Tuesday. And don't you want to know what's going on with your place? You know? And there's probably going to have to clean up. You know? You're going to have to clean up. And a lot of people are going to need new housing. And that's what I said. That was the point of my first video. That the overhype of the hurricane. I'm not saying the hurricane's not a threat. It's not a beast in and of itself capable of damage. That's if you're idiotic and you're like, hey, look at me jumping up in the air outside doing jumping jacks. Come and hit me. You know, I'm just saying that the damage is it's going to be property damage. A lot of people are going to be displaced. They're going to have to get temporary housing with FEMA. A lot of people are going to. And I said it's mostly going to be poor people. It's probably going to turn political again. You're going to hear a lot of political stuff with people all year. If there's a lot of property damage to people's homes, and that's usually going to be the poorer housing. Like where I'm at now, I'm in a nice luxury condo made of concrete with reinforced windows. There's not going to be much damage. Okay?
Right.
It's going to be the poor housing, and that's poor people. And a lot of them, probably due to some flooding or just wind damage, they're going to have to find a new place to live. But here's the thing. FEMA's got you covered. They'll give you temporary housing, and if there's damage to your house, they'll cut you a check. If there's eventually find you new housing. Eventually, if your house is insured, you're going to find another place to live eventually. But what I'm saying, in the meantime, this storm is a hassle. It's not going to be. It might be disastrous, but what it comes down to, this is they're saying it's like apocalyptic. But I'm just saying it's just going to be a hassle. It's like you got to go do something that you don't want to do. But you got no choice, and you know, like, who wants to deal with on the weekend that your power is going to go out? But you got to deal with it, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
going to be a pain in the ass.
it's going to be a pain in the ass, and it's going to be a pain in the ass for poor people for a long time. Because there's no question, if everything goes according to plan right now, and it looks like it is, it's going to be a lot of damage, a lot of property damage. And the response is so good, like you said, because they overdid it, overhyped it, and people taking it so serious. There's not going to be much injuries and much death. You know, they're going to get the power back up. There's only going to be like there's going to be a few deaths. That's from, you know, careless people that are making bad choices. But there's going to be only going to be a couple injuries and a couple deaths indirectly afterwards, probably with, you know, older people with heat exposure because there's no air condition. They're going to be indirect related medical issues. You understand?
Right.
But other than that, there's going to be a bunch of property damage. There's going to be, you know, people are going to have problems. Like you said, it fucked up the other islands and shit, Cuba and Haiti, I think. You saw the news clip. You saw the news clips. People. Yeah. And people. Well, I saw some of the footage and stuff, and people their homes were ruined. They have to, you know what I mean? Their homes were ruined. But for the most part, a lot of people, especially in Florida, they don't live in huts, you know, with rooftops made of leaves strung together, as I said. So it's just going to be the poor people, and there's a lot of poor people. I'm thinking, you know, you definitely should go to a shelter. And I think the majority of the 74,000 people is because they don't have good housing. They live in trailer parks, or they're made in older houses, cheap houses, duplexes, cheap condos, Section 8 housing, you know, made of cheap plywood. You know, that's not the case for the upper echelon of Floridians, you know?
Right.
So that's where the threat is. And it's concentrated to the poor. And then threats concentrated to their living situations, their property damage. You know, branches are going to fly everywhere. You're going to have debris, you know. If you're outside, that's when you're going to get blunt trauma. Get hit by a fucking tree branch, crack your fucking skull open. You know?
True.
But yeah, it's a monster, so. But that's what everyone's talking about, so it should be fun.
So what is your plan when it, like, hits tomorrow? What are you, like, what are you guys going to be doing?
We're going to wait it out. I mean, we're just going to wait till Tuesday. I'm going to try to sleep during the whole thing. I'm going to try to sleep during the whole thing.
So if you can't sleep through the whole thing?
I could try. I'm going to try to sleep through most of it, but...
Why would you not want to see it?
Well, I'm going to see some of it, but what I'm saying is it's going to be a long duration of it. You understand? It's going to be like 12 hours of pounding because it's so massive and it's going so slow. It's not going fast. It's not going like the other hurricanes. They were all smaller, too.
Okay. Hold on just a minute. The last time you said pounding, and I'll go ahead and bring it up, you said the duration of the pounding. And
Yeah.
you said 12 hours of pounding. Like, I just can't let it go anymore. I gotta bring that shit up.
Yeah, this is pretty
It's
funny.
made me laugh both times.
Because you got a sick mind. But it's a serious matter, Tara Lee. We're all serious.
I'm
This
not
is.
seeing anybody. That's my problem.
You're not seeing anybody.
No, I'm keeping to myself for a minute, and I'll tell you why when you're off the podcast thing.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do another podcast later.
Not about Tara's dating life. Probably not a good
No.
idea.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's enough for the podcast here. This ain't really a podcast. This is not a podcast. Well, this is more of one. A podcast is like a show. You understand?
Oh.
It's like a weekly show, like on audio. It's not really video, but it's like audio, like kind of like this. The last one wasn't a podcast. This is more of a podcast. This video. The last one was just like a video clip. But this was like a podcast because it was longer for one, and it was on the hurricane. A discussion, I suppose. It's a video podcast, I guess, for me. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, that's all there is to the hurricane. There's nothing else to it.
Are you gonna like video it when it happens? I think you should.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna video stuff. I wish I would have. When I went to the gas station, like I said, you can really get a lot out of it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of shit on YouTube, but there's a lot of stuff people don't see. Like you go to the gas station, I had a homeless guy there, like on a bike, like asked me, "Sir, can I borrow the extra change?" Like just 30 minutes ago. I found the only gas station in town. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that side of it, and I want to get some of the hurricane. I'm on the second story, and it'll be a good view. And you know, you don't want to be an idiot and go outside when it's really pounding.
Well, what's that?
You know?
What's that homeless guy gonna do? He's gonna be outside.
He's probably going to go to a shelter. Like I said, it's probably up to 100,000 in shelters right now. So, but I even think a lot of people that went to shelters are ridiculous. You didn't need to go. I think their house, like this condominium, this complex I'm in, like half the people left. Half the people you can tell stayed because of the cars. But there's no reason to leave this area. The housing here is so secure. It's upscale, you know. It's like a golfing neighborhood. The buildings just.
What about people on the top floor?
Well, most.
Roofs get blown off and shit.
It's possible, but the thing is, yeah, it's not a concrete roof, but it's not like my house over in Punta Gorda where Hurricane Charlie hit. The roofs here are metal. They're the top of the line. This is like all hurricane grade stuff. The windows are hurricane grade. It's metal sheets on the freaking roof. It ain't cheap. Yeah, it ain't cheap shingles and like wooden, you know, like my brother in St. Pete has cheap housing. He lives on the water downtown St. Pete. Just bought a house, but what the hell? It's older. You know?
Right.
It's a big deal on the construction. I mean, but you look at the Russians. Look at the Russians. They never had problems with hurricanes. It's the way their construction is. It's the way their units are built. And it does make a difference. But what I'm saying in general, Florida's good. It's not going to be nothing like some of these people who lost their homes the other day in Haiti and now Cuba. Right. We're more upscale. We're more technologically sound with the construction. You just can tell. You know, but people who have older homes here, these are the ones that are vulnerable. These are the ones that have the apocalypse dooming on them, you know. This is the, apocalyptic storm. This applies to them that don't seek shelter when they have a shitty, cheaply made house.
Right.
So, because I don't care if the eye came full throttle, upgraded to a category 666 and fucking hit me. I feel comfortable and safe here where I'm at because of the construction of it. So that's all I got to say about that. And that's a good update. I think that's what's that?
Is your dad just chilling?
Yeah, my dad came. He was scared. He doesn't have. He's on the harbor in Charlotte County, and that's where the eye came in Hurricane Charlie. If you look up Hurricane Charlie from 2004, that's the main. That's the area where it got the brunt of the hurricane. They even have a bar, a restaurant called Hurricane Charlie. You know, it even took out a few hotels. That's where I live. That's where my house is. That's where he just came from, and he had the evacuation warning. He had the evacuation. He was in the evacuation zone for the surges, for the flooding, because he's on the harbor. See, I'm more inland. I'm not by Siesta. I'm not that close to Siesta Key, like coming off the ocean. I'm like inland. The only body of waters is a freaking pond here, and a little ways away is a little lake. It's nothing. It's not like a. See what I'm saying? It's not like a harbor or an ocean, like a beach. That's why we're good, and that's why we're not very at risk for the surge.
So his house is probably going to flood.
It's going to be flooding around it. You know, I don't know if it's, you know, going to be up to the ceiling or anything. I think they're exaggerating with the surge. They do stress 15 feet, but you got to understand they're talking in terms of worst case scenario. You see?
Oh, okay.
That's what the news does. Like the hurricane actually got better, but none of the news channels. I just noticed this. You can just pay attention next time if you were ever to watch the news. It did downgrade to Category 3. It's not much, you know. It's going to probably go back up. What I'm saying is they're selling the storm to you, too. They don't want it, even subconsciously, they're trying to, like, this is an evil, apocalyptic storm, you know. This is what they're doing. That's what their job is. They're selling the storm on the news. None of them were positive about it, like, oh, it downgraded to Category 3. It's better now. None of them even question it going, not turning into Florida, of just keep going to the Gulf and missing Florida. None of them even assume positivity. They're all taking a slant towards the worst case scenario, and it's just by habit because it's the news and it's their job to sell the freaking storm. You believe it? So.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. What's that?
Why do they think it's going to go back up to Category 4?
Well, it hit Cuba, and that's what slowed it down. But the water's much more warmer, and it's coming off. It's going back into the water now. When it's between Cuba and Florida.
Oh.
And the water's warm right here, and it's gonna re-up. It's gonna re-strengthen and get bigger. And it's going slow, so it's gonna keep building itself and building, and then hit Florida. But it's gonna downgrade. See, by the time it gets more north, it's gonna be a smaller hurricane. Like by the time it gets to Georgia and stuff, it's gonna be like nothing. It might just even be a tropical storm.
Right.
So